Good day, and welcome to another HIMSS TV Digital Checkup. I'm Bill Sawicki, Features Editor of Healthcare IT News, a HIMSS Media publication. Today, we'll be discussing how AI-driven protocols change a patient's pathway to recovery and enable individualized and therefore more effective care. And we'll be talking about digital care management platform usability. My guest is Chris Young, Head of Product at Force Therapeutics. Welcome, Chris.
Hey, Bill, it's great to be here.
We have a few questions for you today, Chris, and I'll jump right in. You have said that for patients, what makes a digital care management platform usable has more to do with content personalization and care continuity than the simplicity of its user interface. I'm wondering if you can elaborate on that.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. First and foremost, I think it's kind of helpful to give some context that Force is prescribed by the patients who are using it. So at its core, patients are generally going to do what doctors tell them. So we have a decent amount of patients who are naturally going to activate the platform. There's still a decent amount of patients who need to push to activate via omni-channel engagement. But from there, it's really our responsibility to drive that continuous engagement. And our product development team has spent a ton of time talking to hundreds of patients actually to understand what they wanted in their patient experience. And I don't want to by any means downplay the importance of a simple UI. That is still pretty critical. But for us, we actually see it as table stakes. And what we saw in a lot of that research is that about 92% of patients care about knowing what's expected of them at different time points. And an even higher percentage cared about expressed concerns over solutions they used in the past that seemed a little bit too cookie cutter and eventuality seemed cold. So what would happen and what we monitor here at Force is patients who are continuously engaging over their episode of care. And we want patients logging in a couple of different times a week. And what we found was if the experience wasn't delivering kind of what you should be expecting and wasn't reacting to the inputs that you delivered, you'd see a pretty significant drop off in that patient engagement. And so what we do and how we think about the continuity of care is we're constantly trying to intelligently adapt the patient's experience based off of what they're telling them, based on what they're telling us, so that they feel that the experience is tailored to them, really, at the end of the day, a personalized or a customized experience, we would say.
You believe that videos and classes, particularly those with interactive user elements such as teach-back quizzes, are more likely to spark user engagement than articles. Please explain why.
I think it's the high level belief for us that learning experiences is outcomes driven, goal-oriented, and human-centered. So we're focused on bringing behavioral design best practices to healthcare. So you'll see a lot of that more in kind of the DTC type world. And as you see the push towards consumerism in healthcare, I think what we are trying to kind of push forward is the idea that digitization alone doesn't cut it. To go a layer deeper, I think a lot of the phrase that our product team uses is that information is only likely to influence behavior if it is delivered in a way that attracts attention effectively. And so we feel that creating responsive, engaging content like videos, classes, teach-back questions, those are the tools and the functionality that a patient engagement platform can deliver that's going to really allow someone to ingest the information presented to them, which creates a more prepared patient. And as a result, a more prepared patient usually will help drive better outcomes.
Another question for you. How do AI-driven protocols change a patient's pathway to recovery and enable individualized care?
Great question. I think first it's good to call out that AI sometimes is a little bit of a buzzword in healthcare or really any industry, and how you want to leverage it is most important. Oftentimes at the core of your product, really what you need, and sometimes people will say is AI, is a really robust set of algorithms. And so we don't ever want to just kind of put in a black box type AI solution as a company where we are ingesting patient inputs and kind of pushing back at an experience where no one really quite understands what was the reasoning behind doing that. So really our belief is that we want to create a really strong core product that's based off of these intelligent algorithms which isn't quite AI, but that cherry on top of the patient experience is the really intelligent, a little redundant AI that allows us to take that 10 to 20% of the individualized patient experience that we want to create. We can understand the inputs that patients are delivering to us. And from there, we can kind of trigger back on top and create that individualized experience so that if they're telling us certain conditions based off of how they're feeling post-operatively, we know and can kind of sometimes even predict based on what they're saying. Here's what we might want to deliver if a patient is 3 days post-operatively. We can intelligently understand that and kind of deliver stronger information. And kind of it touches back to what we were talking about in your previous question of, okay, well, this is what they're telling us, but then it's equally as important if we are intelligently responding to that in an automated way. We want to make sure that's delivered in a way that's going to be ingested.
You have stated that care management platforms that use AI to capture patient input points can more easily make real-time adjustments to care pathways and alert clinicians when necessary. So what is AI's role and what can be the result?
I think AI's role for us is driving the continuous data flywheel for us to always drive care redesign. So for us, a lot of what, circling back to the first three questions that you asked, one, we want to focus on patient engagement. Two, we want to ensure that we're delivering the content in a way that is actually being ingested and allows us to capture even more data. And then three, we want to make the platform intelligently adjust based off of those inputs and the learning algorithms that we have within our platform. And so from us, really what we're trying to do is drive that iterative process to always make a smarter, more intelligent platform. And so for us, really what we see is that AI is kind of that last, I'd say like 10% of that 90% of that patient journey, which drives the continuous improvement for us throughout our product. And as a result, allows us to partner with our hospital systems and the doctors who use our platform to drive care redesign.
Well, I really appreciate your time today. I'd like to thank our guest, Chris Young, head of product at Force Therapeutics. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you very much. It was great to be on.
And for all our HIMSS TV viewers, stay tuned. Another digital checkup will be coming soon.